All right, so you are ready to crush your anxiety and fear, and you're ready to use diet as a way to do it. I'm so excited for you to be here and watching this video because in the mindset, mental health world, and even just like the top performance world, everybody always talks about mindset. It's always about mindset, think positively, challenge the thoughts, all this stuff. And don't get me wrong, it is huge. I talk about mindset so much on my channel, but there's also a huge area that people don't talk about enough when it comes to the mindset, mental health, top performance world, and that is your diet and the foods that you eat. We have such a big focus on like our thoughts and our mindset, which is very important, but people don't talk enough about how your diet is also so important. And honestly, I saw the biggest change in my life and my brain health as when I was trying to overcome my depression, when I really started to change up my diet and the foods that I was eating. And when I even look back at the foods that I ate growing up, my parents are immigrant parents, so they worked a lot. I'm so grateful for them and just, all the sacrifices that they've done to support me and my brother. But because they were just like working a lot, right? And we didn't really have a lot of education on healthy foods. Like I grew up eating like pogo sticks and pizza pops and a lot of junk food. And looking back at it now, I can almost see why I had so much trouble just managing my thoughts and emotions. I mean, one, I never really learned how to manage any of them, right? It wasn't really talked about a lot in my culture. And two, I wasn't eating anything healthy for my brain health. Like, I remember in middle school, I would take a jam sandwich every single day for lunch. Like, that was my lunch. And I would have that with like juice, which is basically just all carbs and sugar. And I can see why, looking back now, why I struggled so much with my mental health as a young adult because my brain literally didn't have any of the nutrients and support that I needed to feel good. So I want you to get honestly really serious about your diet and the foods that you're feeding yourself. It is making a really big impact on your ability to be resilient, on your ability to perform. And so you need to be super serious about the foods that you're feeding yourself, especially when times get stressful, especially when you're going through hard periods in life, because these are the periods where we tend to turn towards foods that, help us feel good in the moment. And these are some of the most dangerous foods to turn to because they're not going to actually help you be resilient and actually help you work through your challenging thoughts and emotions in a positive way. So, when it comes to the right diet, so something I want to say already is that I'm not a big proponent of promoting specific diets unless there's actually like very specific conditions, like, like the Mediterranean diet I talk about a lot, low glycemic index diet as well. But low FODMAP diet if I'm ever doing like a gut reset with my patients. But overall, I like to promote healthy habits and ways of eating more than actually promoting a specific diet. And this is also because so many years ago, about like probably 6 years ago now, I actually competed in the Miss World Canada pageant. So this was in like 2018. And during that time, it probably sounds so random. I feel like I never talk about this. But during that time, I went on this like really strict diet. And I had to, right? Like I wanted to compete and I wanted to be competitive. And so that means getting that supermodel body. And so I had one of my girlfriends, she was a personal trainer. I had her write me like a meal plan and the calories I should have. And I was on this strict workout plan. And I was on that diet and, I lost about like 10, 15 pounds. And like I gained all that weight right back, right? And I've experimented with so many other diets, like being vegan, doing keto, all of that stuff. And like, eventually, after a while, like you end up going back to your normal ways of eating. Unless you have some, very strong, powerful reason to be vegan, vegetarian. Some people end up their whole lives doing that. But most of the time, like diets are just, we don't really maintain them long term. And so something I always tell my patients and is that when you're setting healthy habits for yourself, ask yourself, can I do this for the next 30 years of my life? And if that's a no for you, that means that this is not the right habit for you because you need to simplify it more and be more flexible with it so it does feel like it is doable long term. So, essentially, what I'm going to share in this video are healthy habits and ways of eating, and what are the things that you really need to watch out for when it comes to your diet so that you can really minimize your anxiety, your stress, the fear that you experience on a day to day basis, so that you can show up as a top performer during the day. So, Number one biggest thing that I always teach people about is just regulating your blood sugar levels. I have a couple of videos already where I talk about this, but what we really want to make sure is that we don't want you to have these big spikes and crashes of your blood sugar all day long. Okay, very important to avoid that. We also want to make sure that, we're helping you not be insulin resistant, right? So this is when your receptors to insulin stop becoming as sensitive. So your body actually needs to release more and more insulin for your body to use up that energy, that glucose source of energy. And we really want to minimize that as well. And so these are some of the things that we're going to be talking about, and also making sure and helping to make sure that your body is getting enough nutrients as well. That's very important too, right? And choosing the right food so that we make sure that you have a healthy gut microbiome, that we're limiting inflammation that shows up in your body. So these are a couple of the essentially key pieces and areas that we really need to look at when it comes to your diet. So let's go through some of the best dietary practices if you really want to minimize anxiety and fear and become more resilient and show up as a top performer that you are meant to be in your life. So number one piece, something that I always teach all of my patients is that in the morning, well, not really in the morning actually, every single meal, you need to make sure you're getting at least 25 to 30 grams of protein. Like, oh my God, barely any of us are getting enough protein with our meals. So for example, right, before in the morning, I used to wake up, I used to have like 2 pieces of egg, I used to have like a piece of toast with avocado on it. Eggs, 2 eggs have like 12, 13 grams of protein. Okay, avocados have like very minimal, and like, carbs you can almost assume has like barely anything, like nothing in there. And so I was starting my mornings off with like such little protein. I needed to actually be getting double the amount of protein. So now in the morning, instead of having like 2 eggs, a piece of toast with avocado, I have 4 eggs. I add in veggies in the eggs, right? So like spinach and mushrooms. And then I also have like 1 to 2 tablespoons of peanut butter, or I'll have some nuts with it just to really amp up that protein that much more. So I end up getting about 25 grams of protein with that first meal of the day. And wow, have I noticed such a shift in my energy, my ability to concentrate and focus during the day and during lunch. Like, so all of my meals, I make sure to get at least 25 to 30 grams of protein. It makes such a big difference. Getting enough protein is so important because protein forms the building blocks of all your hormones, right? So when you think about your hormone serotonin, which is your happiness hormone, your hormone GABA, which is your calming hormone, all of it comes from protein. It's made from protein. So getting enough protein becomes really important. And if you notice yourself getting like really hangry, or you get hungry really quickly, or you notice yourself having extreme cravings during the day, it's probably because you're not getting enough protein. So getting enough protein is really important. The other piece that's completely shifted and really shifts anxiety, fear, all that stuff that you feel during the day, is making sure that you're only eating about 2 to 3 meals a day. For a lot of us, we're just eating like all day long, okay? And this in itself is just so problematic. Like, do you know how taxing it is for your digestive system, like to actually digest food? Like when your body is actually digesting food, all of this energy goes from your brain and into like your digestive tract, right? And if you're just eating food all day long, you don't have the energy and resources your brain needs to actually function. And then this long term can also cause that piece of insulin resistance that I talked about, right? So this means that over time, your body will need to work that much harder to digest food, to use up the energy from it. And a clear telltale sign is, just take note, how do you feel after you eat? Usually, and especially at lunchtime, when a lot of us eat lunch, we feel slow and sluggish afterwards. And that's because you're not choosing the right foods for yourself. So very important to make sure that when you're eating these meals, and this is where everything's interconnected, right? This is where getting 25 to 30 grams of protein with your meal is going to honestly help a lot. And so when you're able to actually get enough protein, you're actually able to sustain your hunger. The other food group that becomes very important as well is healthy fats. So your brain is 60% fat. This is honestly the number one food group I find is missing from most people's diet. We're usually able to get a little bit of protein in our meal, but we definitely need to add more. But healthy fats is another big area that's often missing. So healthy fats includes things like avocados, nuts and seeds, nut butters, eggs, healthy oils. Honestly, during my day, I will literally just pull up my olive oil and just have like 2 tablespoons of it and drink it because that's just how good it is for you, right? So other oils like flaxseed oil, avocado oil, you can use grass-fed butter and ghee if you want, fatty fish like salmon, sardines, mackerel. I'm not gonna lie, this is an area I need to get better at. I need to eat more fish. I keep telling myself that every week. Edamame, tofu. So these are all great sources of healthy fats. So really making sure with every meal that you're getting that as well. Because when you get enough of the protein and healthy fats, you won't get such a big blood sugar spike. And these are the foods that are actually going to give your brain the nourishment it needs to actually focus and concentrate, and so that you can show up as a top performer in your life. So these right types of foods become really, really important. Now, the other food group here that's important as well is our veggies. So the other rule that I usually have for myself is half my plate is veggies at every single meal. Every single meal. Even when I eat out with friends, right? Looking to see if we can get veggie starters or doing something like that to make sure that we're still getting those veggies and nutrients in. And again, vegetables, they have so many nutrients that our body needs. And so again, as I mentioned before, when it comes to your brain functioning in a really positive way, if your brain doesn't have specific nutrients, how is your brain going to help you show up in a powerful way? How is your brain going to be strong enough to conquer anxiety and fear if your brain literally does not have the nutrients it needs? So this is why making sure you are getting enough of these vegetables becomes really important. So when I teach my patients about how to eat right for their brain, I almost draw this like plate out. And I say that half your plate should be veggies, a quarter is protein, an eighth is healthy fats, and another eighth are complex carbohydrates. I have like a whole protein cheat sheet and whatnot I share with my patients so that they can make getting enough protein be really, really easy for them. And so making sure meals look like that becomes very, very important. And when you start to optimize your meals, again, you're gonna notice like a night and day difference with yourself. Like this is exactly the night and day difference that I've noticed with myself. Whenever I have breakfast foods, once in a while I'll have those breakfast foods or like pancakes or like French toast. I'm out for the day. I'm like out. I'm like peace out. No work being done. And so I'll strategically choose days if I'm wanting to have something sweet for breakfast to have something sweet where I don't really have a lot of work to get done. But for example, today is like a pretty heavy work day, so I woke up and I had a protein smoothie. So I used a protein powder. It was like 30 grams of protein, had a full cup of berries, spinach. Sorry, I used kale actually today. A full cup of berries and kale. I put in some flax seeds and hemp seeds and chia seeds. I put in like a tablespoon of peanut butter. And that was my breakfast this morning. And I feel freaking fantastic. So just again, goes to show you the difference when you give your body the right foods and especially enough protein and healthy fats. And the last piece that I'm going to add in here is really making sure that you stop eating when you're full. This becomes so important, especially for your morning and afternoon meal. If you end up eating way beyond being full, you're gonna feel slow and sluggish. And one, you're probably gonna feel bad. You're just gonna feel bad about yourself, right? I know what that self-talk is like if I've eaten too much food. Like I'm feeling really negative and I'm feeling not so great about myself. And I have to catch that self-talk and be kind to myself. And then the other piece here too is that again, if your body is just using up a lot of energy to digest your food, guess who doesn't have the energy and resources it needs? Your brain. And in your cells, in your little cells, you have these little organelles called mitochondria, right? In all of your cells, these are the ones responsible for producing energy in your body. And if we're constantly in this state of overeating, we are taxing out our mitochondria and making them work way harder than they need to. And long term, this can actually harm our mitochondria and really harm our ability to produce energy, regulate our emotions. Like mitochondria affect everything in your life. So, very important to also stop eating when you end up feeling full. So, these are some of the tips and tricks and strategies to as to how you really eat to minimize your anxiety, to minimize the fear that you experience, and really become more resilient and stronger from it. When you feed your body the right nutrients and foods, it literally completely changes the way that you show up during the day. And of course, I didn't touch on it in this video, but maybe I'll make a separate video on these types of foods, but like caffeine, alcohol, these are all the types of foods that you want to actually watch out for because they can make all of this be worse for yourself. Again, not saying to never have any of these if you don't want to, right? Like I love myself a glass of red wine here and there, although I'm getting to a point where I feel like I'm just gonna completely stop. And then also like I love me a good cup of coffee during the day, right? And I'm actually really decreased my coffee intake as well. So I really try to avoid having more than 1 cup a day. So these are some of the tips and tricks that I had for you. Really, the last thing to emphasize is like, please start taking your diet seriously. Take your diet seriously because every time you put something in your mouth, it's having a direct impact on your brain. It's having a direct impact on your emotions, a direct impact on your ability to be resilient and to really show up in your life in a powerful way. So if you are just like, I'm trying to do all my thinking and my thoughts and all of that stuff and change all of it up, but it's not working as well, it's probably because you're feeding your body the wrong foods and you're not taking care of your body the right way. You are such a powerful being. Like, do you have any idea how powerful you are? How amazing your brain is? Do you have any idea that you are literally capable of building the wildest life of your dreams? You're capable of having anything it is that you want in your life. But if you don't feed your body the right foods, you won't even achieve like a fourth of your potential. And I think that's really the saddest thing. The saddest thing is when we don't live up to our full potential. And this is why I love to do what I do because I help people crush their anxiety, fear, and limiting beliefs so they can live up to their potential. And educating and teaching people about diet and how to feed their brain the right foods is a huge part of what I do. So if you're someone who is interested in this holistic approach where you're like, I want to learn about the right mindset techniques, but I also want to learn about the diet, movement, sleep, supplements required for me to optimize my brain, use the link in my bio to book a free discovery call with me and we can chat about what support for you looks like.